The world is full of mystery, some of them being kept mysterious on purpose. For reasons that are unknown to us, governments around the world keep certain info hidden from the public, generally for unknown reasons, whether they be good or bad. But today we will look at 10 declassified files finally revealed. Stay tuned for number 1, it's guaranteed to cause you night terrors. Number 10. Project MKULTRA. The first item on our list makes us question whether governments routinely conduct experiments on their unwitting citizens to develop some kind of new weapon, or just wasting our tax dollars as per usual. Honestly, this is declassified documents of the CIA project revealed that the US government had already done so. Project MKUltra, as it was called, was an extremely top-secret operation headed by the CIA, which purpose was to assess the use of LSD and other drugs for mind control, intelligence gathering, and psychological torture. The project lasted from 1953 until 1973, but details of the project weren't made public until years after the fact. The authorities reasoned that during the Cold War, it was believed that the Chinese, the Soviets, and the North Koreans were conducting their own mind control program that have sent brainwashed US POWs in Korea back to the US to act as spies and sleeper agents. None of these claims have been fully verified, though. The project involved more than 150 human experiments, most of which were done with the participants unaware that they were being experimented on. Fortunately, the program yielded poor results and was promptly abandoned, putting a halt to these illegal and unethical experiments. Number 9. The Avrocar. It has been greatly rumored that all of the UFO sightings that happen in the United States are being fueled and encouraged by the US government itself. Conspiracy theorists believe that the story of aliens and UFOs were deliberately disseminated by the authorities, to cover up the test of experimental aircraft. If that is true, then the next entry on our list is probably the reason why most UFOs reported by witnesses were disc-shaped. The Avrocar was jointly developed by the US and Canadian governments with the purpose of creating an aircraft that is highly maneuverable and has vertical takeoff and landing capabilities. Footage of field tests of the Avrocar has been recently revealed, and it shows a disc-shaped object that is hovering just a few feet off the ground. The documents reveal that the project was scrapped due to problems with lift and stability. What if this information is not accurate? What if the UFOs being sighted in recent years are actually later iterations of the Avrocar? I guess we'll never know. Number 8. The North Carolina atomic bomb incident. The atomic bombs that were developed by the United States arguably were the weapons that ended World War II, and the US launched a propaganda about the fact. But a few years after the war, 2 atomic bombs were almost detonated in North Carolina, and the information was deliberately kept from the public, at least until very recently. Recently declassified documents tell of an incident that happened in North Carolina. According to the documents, on January 1961, a B-52 bomber was flying over North Carolina, which suddenly fell apart and crashed. Terrifyingly enough, the plane was carrying 2 atomic bombs in its belly. Both the plane and the bombs fell near the city of Goldsboro. It was just by sheer luck that the bombs didn't explode, as according to authorities, the bombs were virtually armed. If even one of the bombs exploded, we could have looked at a calamity bigger than Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. Number 7. Operation Gladio. Governments organizing and funding paramilitary units for the sake of national security is nothing new, even if the operation is kept on the down low. However, doing it in your own country is one thing. Organizing military forces in a different country is something totally different, especially if it was revealed that the weapons you supplied that paramilitary unit was used for terrorist activities. This is the story of Operation Gladio. Organized in the 1950s, Operation Gladio was the codename for a secret army organized by the CIA as the first line of defense against the possibility of the Soviet Union invading Western Europe. Several units were organized in various European countries like Belgium, France, Greece, and Italy, to name a few. But the one in Italy was the one who let the cat out of the bag. Back in 1990, Operation Gladio was revealed by the Italian Prime Minister itself, and since then, various informants have come out with information about great stockpiles of weapons hidden throughout Europe, all of which were provided by the CIA. Disturbingly, however, it was also revealed that the bomb used in the Gorizia car bombing incident in Italy, which happened back in 1972, came from the same stockpile of weapons. Number 6. Operation Northwoods. In the 1960s, the tensions between the United States government and Fidel Castro was at its apex. The US was trying to find any reason to invade Cuba and deal with Castro once and for all. And when waiting for one seemed fruitless, they thought that they could make one themselves, a reason that involves something utterly terrifying: an attack on their own citizens. Dubbed Operation Northwoods, this proposal by the Joint Chiefs of Staff to the then President John F. Kennedy involved a plan to justify US military involvement in Cuba. How did they plan to do that? They intended to conduct terrorist attacks on US soil, and put all the blame on Cuban terrorists. It's a good thing that JFK vetoed this proposal. It would have just been sickening to find out just a few years later that the US government sacrificed the lives of its own citizens just because of its itchy trigger finger. Number 5. The Lost Children of Francoism. Losing a child is already painful enough, but having your child being forcibly taken from you definitely takes things to a higher level. What's even worse is that these kidnappings were politically motivated. This is the reality faced by thousands of parents who were in Spain under General Franco's regime. General Francisco Franco, dictator of Spain who ruled Spain from 1936 to his death in 1975, had a habit of kidnapping the children of his political opponents, or the children of anyone not supporting his regime. These children were in turn sent to state-run orphanages, and then later given to families that were Franco supporters, and were given new identities. These children were never seen by their biological parents again. Just what could have prompted Franco to do such a heinous act? Recent revelations have shown that Franco's reason was to eradicate left-wing thinking from his country by removing the notion in the minds of future generations. No matter what his reasons were, there is no denying the fact that his actions cemented his status in history as one of the most hated and ruthless men in the modern age. Number 4. The Dark Alliance. While this certainly sounds more like some cartoon villain's group, the government should be the ones responsible for protecting their citizens from everything that threatens them, the influx of illegal drugs included. That's why it's shocking to find out that they are not doing anything to stop the flow of illegal drugs into a country, but are actually the ones behind it all. This was the shocking revelation contained in reporter Gary Webb's series of reports, now called the Deadly Alliance. According to Webb's report in 1996, the sudden and uninterrupted flow of cocaine to the streets of Compton and South Los Angeles were caused by the Contras, a Nicaraguan rebel group that funds its operations by selling illegal drugs. The money gained from these sales is then used to buy weapons. The worst thing about this, he said that the CIA knew about it and was turning a blind eye. Webb even implied that the CIA were even protectors of this operation. Was his investigation of this matter directly resulting in his death in 2004? Well, we can only speculate. If you are interested to learn more, Webb's story in his report was turned into a movie called Kill the Messenger, and you can go check it out now. Number 3. Operation Paperclip. During World War II, the Germans were actively developing a new weapon to help them win the war, employing hundreds if not thousands of Nazi scientists, all of which were galvanized by a single cause: the victory of the Third Reich. The weapons developed by these people were some of the deadliest and most destructive that man has ever seen. And of course, the development of these weapons often involved human experimentation on POWs, mostly Jews. These people definitely are and should have been prosecuted as war criminals. However, instead of getting their just desserts, most of these scientists found gainful employment in the US because of Operation Paperclip. Operation Paperclip involved the migration of German scientists to the US, giving them new identities, their war crimes scrubbed from their records, and given jobs in various US agencies such as NASA. The logic was their research was more important than the crimes to humanity that they have committed, leaving them unpunished and continue to live normal lives. As expected, there was a general outcry of outrage when Operation Paperclip was finally declassified, but no one can do anything anymore, as the German scientists that benefit from this operation are all probably dead after living free from the repercussions of their war crimes. Number 2. Evidence of a sea serpent. Today's photo that is submitted by one of our subscribers really does raise a lot of questions. The photo shows what looks like a long, serpentine creature being carried by quite a few people who are what we assume as fishermen. The creature looks terrifying, and it resembles something prehistoric. Online accounts of this photo do vary, but one thing that there is in common about all of them, that this is conclusive proof that sea serpents do exist. And for some reason, governments around the world don't want the general populace to find out. What could be the reason why the existence of these creatures are kept classified? Is there something the authorities know about them that we shouldn't know about? Do they think that they can keep the existence of these creatures hidden for longer? Eyewitness accounts of sea serpents have been rising quickly within the past few years. It's all just a matter of time before their existence becomes public knowledge. Or in the meantime, we'll just think the megalodon is still alive. Why not?
I saved the best for last, but first, I have a quick challenge that takes only 5 seconds to complete. If you can leave a like and subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just try it, it really works.
Number 1. Unit 731. Of all the many atrocities that were committed during World War II, nothing compares to the heinous acts made by the now infamous Unit 731. Unit 731 was a Japanese military medical unit that started out doing medical research and also a public safety agency. However, during the war, their roles became much more involved in the Japanese war effort. Unit 731 then became the center for researching diseases and how they can be weaponized to be deployed in the war. But to do that, they conducted some of the most horrible experiments imaginable, all of which used human guinea pigs, which were mostly Chinese and Russian POWs, as well as Japanese criminals. The list of heinous acts committed by Unit 731 run long, most of which are too gruesome to be talked about in detail. Can you imagine being dissected while still being alive just to see the effects of a disease on your body? Or having heavy objects dropped on you to test the effects of crashes, much like a human crash test dummy? Or being deliberately exposed to some bacteria in order to develop the deadliest strain of it to later be weaponized? What's even more shocking is the fact that the US government gathered all the data from these experiments in exchange for immunity to war crimes. Which declassified information terrified you? Let us know in the comment section below. Want to watch more terrifyingly entertaining videos? Click on any of the videos you see on the screen. As always, thanks for watching everybody. See you later!